So my mother was the OG when it comes to Marie Kondoing things. So my mother taught me all of those kind of tips and strategies from a really young age. And because everyone's talking about Marie Kondo right now, she's in everyone's living room coming to you on her new Netflix show. And of course, her beautiful book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, is just all the rage right now. I wanted to share a little tip that I love to use in my life that my mom taught me many years ago when they started coming out with all of those lettuces that you can buy in plastic. My mother is a big fan of reducing, more so than even recycling. She is about reusing and reducing, and I really love that about my mom. But the fact is that in the wintertime, sometimes it comes that we have to end up buying these things from the grocery store. And so whenever I buy lettuce that comes in those plastic containers, I sort of cringe when I think about the fact that there are so many of them filling landfills, even, and going to recycling plants. But the point is that my mother has been using these plastic containers for years to store things in. And so I thought I would just share that tip with you, that if you have any of those plastic containers that usually come from the grocery store with salad in them, you can wash them out and then reuse them in a way to store things in your drawers. And what's nice is that they tend to be a perfect size to tuck into a drawer. So if you have a wider drawer, you can put maybe 2 or 3 of them. And because they're clear, you can really see everything that's inside. So I'll just give you an example of the way that I store. So cloths, so dishcloths are kind of stored this way. I don't know if you can see that. So just the way that Marie Kondo talks about, which is kind of that folding in thirds, and then you tuck them in. A couple of them are a little bit long, but that's how I do it. So I love using these plastic containers to store things. They're great for underwear, great for socks, really good for things like just bits and bobs, things that you just don't really have a name for, those miscellaneous items that are usually just thrown, willy-nilly in a drawer. You can sort of house everything, and I love that Marie's always talking about compartmentalizing things, so everything kind of going together. So if you've got tons of buttons and they're sort of all over the house, you've got a drawer that you have buttons in, and another drawer in your bedroom that has buttons in, and a drawer by the phone that has, random buttons in. You can put all of those in a little box. So things like watch boxes or jewelry boxes or little gift boxes that you received at Christmas time. And you can just put those into then your clear boxes and try to house things that are common together. So I started off with just kind of saying that my mom was sort of the OG Marie Kondo, and she taught me a lot of these tips and tricks on keeping everything in its place. I can't say enough for keeping everything in its place. When you know exactly where the scissors are, it, is so much easier. Your life just becomes less stressful when you know where everything is. So tidying up really can be magical. I love Marie Kondo. I love her new show on Netflix. I'm completely addicted to it, like I think everybody else is. And so that was my tip, just that you can use these awesome plastic containers. You can reuse them instead of throwing them in the landfill or in the recycling, for housing and storing all of your stuff. And they're really easy. You can grab labels from any Staples store or any paper store and grab labels that you can stick on them as well. If, say, they're in the garage and you've got nuts and bolts in one, or you've got screws in another, or you've got light plate switches in another, you can kind of label them, and so they're just really easy at a glance to see. So that's what I like about reusing those plastic containers.